was doing real harm to Iran. Well, not fatal harm. Iran was able to continue to launch its strikes, but the Iranian notion that they could ride out this attack indefinitely, I think the Iranians didn't have confidence in that posture. Israel, on the other hand, thought that this war would be short and quick. They thought they had the decapitation strike in place. Shock and awe would collapse the regime. That didn't work. They were hoping that their ballistic missile defense shield, together with American assistance, would be able to prevent significant damage being done to Israel. They're wrong. Israel got pounded like it's never been pounded before, and the harm was real, devastating. We don't know the extent to which, because Israel has, of course, put on a media blackout. But I think when the final reporting is done, you'll see the Iranians were very effective at hitting Israel, as effective at hitting Israel as Israel was to hit Iran, or maybe even more so. And the Israelis just couldn't continue this conflict politically. And so both nations were desperate for the ceasefire, but because neither nation was defeated, both nations have to posture as if they've somehow prevailed. This is a psychological game being played right now. And that's important to point out, because that psychological game, serves as the foundation of going forward. I think most people, I know you have, and me as well, have taken a deep sigh of relief that there's a ceasefire in place. But the confidence of this ceasefire holding is not high on my part, because there are too many unresolved issues and too much ego, national pride, the ego of the biggest egomaniac in the world, Donald Trump, and then of course the narcissistic tendencies of Benjamin Netanyahu. So, we're not out of the woods yet, but why don't we just go ahead and take a deep breath and say, whew, the bombing has stopped, the missiles have stopped, and that's a good thing for the moment.
Just letting the situation unravel, the way it unraveled under the Trump administration and his policy in the Middle East. What was the outcome for Donald Trump? What was the outcome for the administration? When you look at the attack, when you look at the way that they led Israel attack in Iran?
In order to know that, we have to know what the genuine, intention is of Donald Trump in this regard. We can be guided, or at least I thought we could be guided by statements he made last September while he was still candidate Trump about, how he was looking for, there's a deal to be made with Iran that can lift the sanctions and move forward. But I think what we found is that Donald Trump the entanglement with Israel is real. He can't disentangle from Israel. He can't disengage from Israel. And so he was sort of in a trap, an Israeli trap with Iran. And he was damned if he did and damned if he didn't. His political base was primarily composed of people who were seeking non-military intervention. And yet the people he surrounded him with, his political power core, were pro-Zionist, pro-Israeli elements who believed that Iran must be confronted decisively, up to and including a force. And so Donald Trump was stuck in the middle there. In retrospect, people may come out and say that he was a genius in the way that he navigated these troubled waters. Because if you think about it, what military price did the United States pay for bombing Iran? None. Just the cost of the attack. No lives lost. The Iranian retaliation was as politically motivated as Trump's attack. Trump bombed 3 empty sites. Whether he telegraphed his intent to the Iranians or not, we don't know at this stage. We know that the Iranians
that he did. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we know that the Iranians telegraphed their intent not to. Iran wasn't looking to kill Americans, and America wasn't looking to kill Iranians. But Trump needed to be seen as being willing to bomb Iran and to have taken that step. And so this is why you get all the rhetoric about the most magnificent destructive obliteration in the world. We are the greatest thing, B-2 bombers, medals around the necks. But at the end of the day, it was pure political theater, just an act of political theater, as was the Iranian retaliation. And what's interesting is right after that occurred, it's as if there couldn't be a ceasefire until they checked off these boxes. The United States had to check off the "we bombed Iran" box, and Iran had to check off the "we attacked American installations" box. And then suddenly Qatar is making phone, or yeah, it was Qatar who made phone calls, and Iran's going, "Yep, we're in. We're willing to do this ceasefire thing." And the Israelis are like, "Please make this happen. We really need this to happen." So I think it was front loaded. I think the talk about a ceasefire, the how to make this happen, was front loaded, which means that what Trump did in bombing these sites was designed to create the conditions for a ceasefire, one that would be politically acceptable in the United States, one that would be politically acceptable in Israel, and created the conditions for political acceptance in Iran. If that's the case, then Trump, deserves credit for his actions. I mean, we saw in the past with North Korea, his fire and brimstone, fire and fury. I'm going to nuke you off the face of the earth, moving things around. And even when he was engaged in actual diplomacy with North Korea, he tends to put out social media postings that are childlike. I mean, that's why I call him a man-child, because the way he postures himself is not that of a mature, dignified, sophisticated leader. This is a very intellectually not complicated, the way he talks in all caps and using words and such, but it's effective, meaning that it accomplished the task. So I think, the jury's still out, but we have a ceasefire. And now what Trump needs to do is bring an end to this nuclear nonsense. I don't think he's going to be able to sustain the 0% enrichment. I think he knows. Remember when Steve Witkoff began the negotiations, which were clearly just a setup for this knockout punch, Marco Rubio's admitted that. March 7th, he said the decision was made to attack. That's a joint decision by the United States and Israel. April 14th is when the first round of negotiations took place. So the United States knew going into the negotiations it was a setup. I mean, I don't know how we recover from that. But Witkoff, I don't think knew. I think Witkoff was actually trying to negotiate in good faith. And then Witkoff got off script because he got a deal. Hey, we're going to have a deal. 3.75% enriched cap. We're ready to go. And Trump was like, that's a pretty cool deal. But then Trump remembered, oh, damn, yeah, we got to bomb Iran. Zero enrichment, zero this, zero that. Now, if we want to go forward, I don't think you get Iran to come back into the fold with 0%, with zero enrichment. I think there has to be a compromise. And is the United States and Israel ready to accept such a compromise? So that's the next hurdle that has to be crossed, is resolving the thing, but Iran has a lot of latitude here, because the attacks did not diminish Iran's potential. In fact, if anything, Iran is dangerous today wherever they began, because the 60% enriched uranium has not been destroyed. The centrifuges, the IR6, IR8 advanced centrifuges, have not been destroyed. Those cascades can be reestablished in secrecy, because Iran, I believe that the parliament voted to break relations with the IAEA. I don't know if the government's acted on that yet. But, as Lavrov said, there's no reason for Iran to tell the IAEA where the 60% enrichment is, because so it down to could, in a very short period of time, produce enough highly enriched